Hello, today I'm going to do my August TBR. I haven't done my July wrap up yet because I'm still in France, and when I get back to England I'll scurry the books together and do one. So what I'm going to be reading in August, I've got a few travel books which I'll show you first because I have to travel from France back to England, which means I'll be doing a lot of reading. So these are my travel books, and then there's other books for the rest of the month. So first up I might read John McGregor's Even the Dogs, which is about a man ends up dead and all the people around him have to like recreate his life to reconstruct it and what kind of character he was. This Star Wars book, which I really want to get to. This is Star Trek number, my like little pause over it, number 8. Because they're quite small books, it'll be, I think, ideal for travelling. This one, Anne Cassidy Looking for JJ. I've spoken about all these books before on my channel, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but this is about 3 kids walk to the end of their town and only 2 kids come back. Where the hell is the third child? This is something like 6 years on. What the hell happened to that child? I love Anne Cassidy, so quick, so easy. From Anne Cassidy to Mitch Albom. For one more day, I read The 5 People Meet in Heaven. You all know I've said it a million times. I really didn't like that book. I didn't connect with it, I didn't like it. So I'm going to give this a go. It's about a man who he's a broken man, his life's destroyed, and he goes back to his childhood home, and his mum, who is supposed to be dead, is alive, and she's going to tell him about his life and about life in general, and he wants to kill himself. And it's all that. I don't know if he has already killed himself and it's kind of like an afterlife thing or what it is. I have no idea. But I'll give Mitch another go. I just found Mitch very cliche, so it wasn't for me. Then got a few other ones. So they're my like travelling ones, and these are just for the rest of the week. I've got Katharine Hepburn's Little Me. I'm so interested in Katharine Hepburn's life. She was a Hollywood actress, and she had a lot happen when she was an actress and different stuff like that. But in her childhood she had something happen which she talks about a lot, which is very interesting. So this is a tiny book, and she wrote this about little her and about her childhood and about a tragedy that happens. Now the tragedy that happens is she had 2 really progressive parents, absolutely fantastic. Her mum was really into like rights for women, and her dad was into rights for like everyone. They were really like great forward thinking parents who always said to her and her brother like strive for brilliance, you know, use your brain, be intelligent, all this different stuff. When she was a teenager, I must say first, her and her brother Tom were like inseparable. She adored him, just worshipped him. When she was a teenager, she was out with her friends and she stopped at where Tom was living, and I think somehow they like got into the apartment. He didn't open the door, and when they got in they found him hanging, and he had hung himself. He had committed suicide. He had got a bed sheet and tied it to the beams of his roof of his room and tied a noose around his neck and killed himself. Her parents then said no way could he have committed suicide. Even though they were like these really intellectual, forward-thinking people, they were like, our son just couldn't have committed suicide. They thought that maybe it was an experiment gone wrong, or he was just pissing about and he just, you know, it was an accident. Although people say like it just couldn't have been an accident. And this crushed teenage Katharine Hepburn. She became incredibly moody. She had these hideous moods. She didn't trust anyone. And then she kind of, you know, got herself together, went off to college, became obviously a massive movie star, but it affected her for the rest of her life because she adored Tom so much. So in this she talks about that, and that's why I really wanted to read this, because she brushes upon Tom, who she adored, and I just find that incredibly interesting that her parents never accepted his suicide. They were just like, he couldn't have committed suicide. But because it was so obvious, it's bizarre, isn't it? But obviously it was their way of coping. And I believe she wrote an essay, might have been an essay or when she wrote her autobiography, and in it she said people would say to her, you coped so well after Tom, like how have you got out of, you know, being this, because she had like a breakdown, was really moody, how did you get out of that? And she would just say, well, you know, the cliche things. But how she really did it is she just pretended Tom was still alive. So she would just didn't even acknowledge that he had died. And then obviously in later life she had to, because it all got too much, and that's how she coped with it, which is like shocking again. And so it's very interesting. She also said it affected her relationship with men because she found it very difficult to trust men throughout her life because she trusted and adored Tom so much and thought they were so similar. For him to then kill himself, it was like a breach of her trust, which is very interesting. There's loads of theories why he could have committed suicide. There's ones that maybe he was homosexual, and at that time, like, being homosexual wasn't okay, and so maybe he was worried about that. There was another one that maybe his partner dumped him. There are other ones that he had bipolar. Like, there's so many different theories, but the most heartbreaking thing is you just don't know. You just don't know what it was. So Katharine Hepburn died in 2003, and she wrote loads of things about her life, and it's really, really interesting. So I'm so excited to get to this. Again, this is just a Penguin 60s, really small book. I then have Having It and Eating It by Sabine Durant. It's about a woman who, her childhood friend, she used to just adore. It's almost like a love story reading it. She adored this girl, wanted to be this girl. And then they meet when they're older, and she's like got 2 kids now, and she feels a little bit run down, not really connected with her husband. And the girl who she adored and wanted to be is still glamorous and sassy and sleeps with married men and does what she wants, and she's a columnist. She's just gone so glamorous and fantastic. And it's about, like, can you have it all? Can you have a career and kids, or is it one or the other? And then she suspects that the girl is maybe cheating on, like, her with her husband. It's all, you know, it's written very kind of Helen Fielding kind of writing, which I like. It's incredibly quick. What else? Virginia Andrews' Secrets in the Attic. I read Virginia Andrews, something like Somewhere Over the Rainbow. It was a series. I read one of the books in the series, loved it. Decided to read this about 2 girls. They go into the attic to tell each other their secrets, and one of the girls says, my stepdad is giving me all this really horrible sexual unwanted attention, and the girls think of a plan of how they can get revenge on him, and it all goes terribly wrong. I then want to carry on with The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. It's huge, so it's obviously like an ongoing project for me, but I want to carry on with that. Oh yeah, and then this, which is just so slow. It's called Playing with the Grown-Ups by Sophie Dahl. This is Roald Dahl's granddaughter, her book, and it's a coming-of-age book, but it's just kind of, it's not connecting with me at all. I'm reading it and I'm just like, well, so she'll like say, oh, Kitty feels this way, but she hasn't really spoken about who Kitty is. Like, who is Kitty? I understand she's our main character, but you need to tell me more than what she's feeling. What's her job? What does she do? We've met her partner for like 2 seconds. She's pregnant. Like, is that her husband? Is that her partner? There's no kind of backstory. It's kind of straight into it, and it feels like she kind of rushed the beginning, and then now it's quite slow to read because it's like, oh, but I don't know who Kitty is anyway. So it starts and Kitty's a grown-up, and it's going to take you back to Kitty's childhood where she lived with her grandparents and her mum, and it's taking you back to that, but it's you don't care about Kitty, in my opinion. You don't care about her yet, so it's just all a little bit slow for me. But we'll see. I like to be introduced properly to the character and then have the story, have like a real character development, and then get into the actual, you know, story. But it seems to have just gone straight into it, just like, Kitty's our main character, don't worry about it. It's like, oh, but like, who is she? Is she blonde? Is she brunette? Is she tall? Is she short? What is she? Just give me a hair colour, okay? Just give me something to work with here. So that is all the stuff that I will be reading, hopefully, in August. And when I get back to England, I'll do my July wrap-up, which is, it's big because obviously the booktubeathon and everything. So here are the books that I will be reading. A lot of them are very short, so I think I'll get to them. Also, I've got like travel days, so I will get to them. I hope you enjoyed this little haul. I feel like my makeup does look like out of Star Trek, something like one of the aliens would have. Cruella de Vil. But anyway, we're living with it. Also, do you like this top? It says on it, French kisses. Got it in France. Sass. I got it at my grandma, because I'm on holiday with my grandma. I got it and my grandma was like, she's quite religious. And then when I was like buying it, she just wandered off. She was obviously like, I'm not condoning this, you devil. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll probably see you like very soon for another one. Feel free to subscribe, and I will see you very soon.